What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Now, I just did an entire video talking about Joe Biden allowing Ukraine to fire long-range missiles deep into strike targets deep into Russian territory, and how absurd it is to just fuel the fire of war when he's so close to the end of his term. However, in making videos like that and having that position, they're going to call me up. Oh, you're a Putin propagandist. Oh, you're on the side of Russia, are you? No, I'm not. Putin is an evil scumbag, right? He's a dictator, a totalitarian type dictator. If you will, I know that was a lot of T's up in there, but I view him as a dictator, no better than Kim Jong-un, right? Or Xi Jinping. I know China's supposed to be a democracy, supposed to be. But it's not. They vote, but it doesn't matter. Once again, Russia votes as well, but it doesn't really matter. Right? Like, Putin's not a good guy at all. However, I don't like war. I don't like us being involved in somebody else's battles. I always say it's analogous to when you come upon two people fighting. Right? Somebody starts a fight and you see two people fighting. Right? What do? Good, serious question in the comments. Let me know. What do? Do you A, go up and try to stop the fight? Or do you B, go up and start helping the guy that got punched in the face first? Like, no, you don't. Or do you C, call the cops and say there's two people fighting, you need to come break it up? Most likely, the answer is going to be C. You're going to call the police and say there's two people fist fighting. You need to come break this up. Or A, you break it up yourself if you don't mind getting in the line of fire. But that's not what we're doing. The United States took the B route and said, no, screw it. We're going to go in and jump in and help this person that got punched first. It's absurd. And for thinking, yeah, that's not a good idea, how come we're not trying to export peace while we're exporting weapons? All of a sudden, you're a Putin propagandist. Oh, well, that's Russian propaganda. You're sympathetic. Why are you sympathizing with Russia? It's absurd. And why that long intro? Here we go, y'all. Gabbard's sympathetic views toward Russia cause alarm as Trump's pick to lead intelligence services. Yes, so in case you didn't know, in case you've been living under the largest rock in the northern hemisphere, yet Tulsi Gabbard is the director of national intelligence. She is going to be leading our intelligence agencies. As a matter of fact, she's a true patriot. She's a veteran of the armed services. She also served in Congress. She's a former Democrat. So that's where the blood clot is coming from, I guess, because she left the Democratic Party. Technically, in her words, the Democratic Party left her. And I agree with that take on it, because the Democratic Party has went hard left and just lost all their old values, the classical liberal values that they used to hold near and dear to their heart. And they've gone on this insane progressive route that leads to the occult-like path, because, if you're not 100% with them, then you're far-right extremist, you're insane racist, sexist, bigot, transphobe, whatever. If you're not 100% in agreement with them, then you're the enemy, you're the other guy. And that's where Tulsi Gabbard finds herself. Right? Teaming up with Donald Trump, a Republican, who also used to be a Democrat, is quite moderate. Look at Trump's picks. He's got RFK Jr., for crying out loud, another former Democrat, who started off his 2024 presidential bid as a Democrat. And what happened with that? Democrats that don't like democracy, so they sued him to keep him off the ballot. So he said, okay, I'm going to run as an independent since y'all won't let me on the Democratic ticket. Then they sued him some more in every single state they could. Sued him to keep him off the ballot. And then when he said, I quit, I'm joining up with Donald Trump, what did they do? They spent more donor dollars to sue to keep him on the ballot. How absurd is that? That's where your Democratic Party is these days, by the way. Suing other candidates for being on the ballot if they don't like them. If they're not in 100% agreement with them, yeah, you can't be on the ballot. That's what they did to Dean Phillips. By God, they sued Jill Stein and Cornel West. They sued everybody that wasn't Kamala Harris or Joe Biden, as a matter of fact. Anybody that posed the slightest little bit of threat, they sued them. You really think Jill Stein poses a threat? No. You think Cornel West poses a threat? No. But they sued them anyway. Keep them off the ballot. It's insane. And they say that, oh, Trump supporters are the ones in a cult. When we're over here like, oh, come on, Trump, you got to do better than that, buddy. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. When we welcome Democrats with open arms, that's not a cult, y'all. That's the farthest thing from a cult. So don't let these people, they'll come out there and leave a comment and say, oh, you're in a cult. You're a Christian and you're evil. Yeah, that's absurd. Speaking of, remember that, because I'm going to get to that at the end of the video, by the way. If I remember. Hopefully I remember. Let's get into this thing. I've ranted for way too long. Tulsi Gabbard, President-elect Donald Trump's choice to lead the U.S. intelligence services in 2022, endorsed one of Russia's main justifications for invading Ukraine: the existence of dozens of U.S.-funded biolabs working on some of the world's nastiest pathogens. Yes, that's a grave concern. But if you are concerned about that, if you don't shut your mouth and say, hey, why are we funding biolabs in Ukraine? All of a sudden, you're a Russian asset.
When it comes to the specifics of the DNI role, someone who has aligned herself previously with Russia, with Syria, with regimes the world over is not in a position to have, or should not be in a position to have any of the information that is, America's greatest secrets. And just to give an example of why I say that, the United States provided intelligence to Ukraine before the Russian invasion, intelligence that said that we knew that Russia intended to invade. That information came from somewhere. That information came from something that I'm a former CIA officer, we called sources and methods, right? And the sources and methods, the ways that the United States gains information is through technologies that we keep secret, through relationships with people who risk their lives to ensure that the United States has good information. And so the idea that someone who has aligned herself with and defended Vladimir Putin could potentially have information related to the sources and methods of how it is that we knew that Russia was going to invade Ukraine, as just one singular example, I think helps illuminate why this is so extraordinarily dangerous. And it's not just the information that we collect. It's not just the sources and methods utilized by the intelligence community working on behalf of the United States, our brave men and women who are doing good work. It's also the intelligence that's shared with us from our partners the world over.
So I just want to know from these people, in what world does coming out and saying, hey, I don't think it's a good idea to be funding biolabs in Ukraine, in what world does that make you aligned with Vladimir Putin? Like, how does the logic line up there? I would love to know that. Because I've never left the United States. I've never even spoken to somebody who was from Russia. And I have those exact same concerns. This channel isn't funded by anybody at all. Right? Like, all of this is me. Just me. By myself. That's it. 2 phones. And that's it. 2 phones and a microphone. And my shop out here. Which is strange. That's it. No funding from anybody. I don't get paid to do this. This is just my opinion. Never been to Russia. Never known anybody from Russia. Nothing like that. So, once again, I have that same opinion. So, does that mean I'm aligned with Vladimir Putin, even though he's an evil scumbag, like top 5 in the world of evil autocrat dictators? Like, where's the logic here? Like, these people are just whinging about this. They're making this stuff up. They're slandering the name of Tulsi Gabbard, who is an American patriot. All because Trump picked her to be the director of national intelligence. It's absurd. These people are whinging online. MSNBC. This is just crazy, y'all. These people are insane. I don't know why anybody listens to these people. Moscow claimed Ukraine was using the labs to create deadly bioweapons similar to COVID-19 that could be used against Russia, and that Russian President Vladimir Putin had no choice but to invade neighboring Ukraine to protect his country. In fact, the labs are public, so says the Associated Press. Like, how do we know this? That's an unsubstantiated claim, by the way. They just gave that claim with no evidence. And part of an international effort to control outbreaks and stop bioweapons. So it's an anti-bioweapons lab. All right, like, do you think that we're an idiot? Like, do you think we're idiots? Why do you need, what was that, several, 12? I think they said, how many biolabs did they say that was? I don't know. They said dozens of biolabs. Dozens. Why would you need dozens of biolabs for anti-biological weapons? And why are we funding this? And why are they in Ukraine? Because it's illegal to create bioweapons in the United States. It's illegal in NATO countries, in EU countries. Ukraine is not a part of these countries. Huh. That's interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. Gabbard, a military veteran and former Democratic congresswoman from Hawaii, later said she wasn't accusing the United States or Ukraine of anything nefarious and was just voicing concerns about protecting the labs. There you go. Once again, but they don't care. She's a Russian asset. She's a Putin propagandist, y'all. But to critics in the U.S., including lawmakers in both parties, the comments showed a disturbing willingness to parrot Russian propaganda, a tendency that has earned Gabbard praise on Russian state TV. So, anytime Russia says anything, everything Russia says is propaganda. If you agree with anything that Russia says, you're a Putin propagandist. All of a sudden, oh, you're aligned with Russia, aren't you? Even if they had a genuine concern that NATO is encroaching upon their borders, if you say that, you're parroting Russian propaganda. You're a Putin propagandist. That is a genuine concern, as a matter of fact. Call me whatever you want, but I can debunk any of those. Oh, you're aligned with Russia. I don't like Russia, to be honest with you. Once again, like I said, I'll say it again. I'll say it 1,000 times if need be. I think Putin is an evil scumbag and a dictator. Don't like the guy whatsoever. Think he illegally invaded Ukraine. I think, though, any invasion is illegal, including the invasions that the United States conducted, as a matter of fact. But that doesn't stop the geopolitics of the situation, right? NATO said when at the fall of the Soviet Union, we gave a promise not to expand eastward. And that's all we've done since, is expand eastward. I think they have a genuine right to be concerned. Now, those concerns are not justified by invading a sovereign freaking nation. That is absurd. Should have never done that. And I think he should be held accountable for those actions at the end of this thing. We need to have the IOC come in and throw his butt in jail. Bring him to court. Yeah, the War Crimes Tribunal or whatever the hell, the IOC. But yeah, we need some accountability for this because I can't see any justification for an invasion, just an outright invasion. Now, it's not a full-on invasion. You know, despite what the mainstream news will tell you, it's not a full-on invasion. Because do you think that Russia could not invade and just totally obliterate Ukraine? I know you say, oh, well, we've been sending them weapons. Doesn't matter. Do you really think that? That would be like saying that the United States couldn't invade and take over Mexico. Yeah, they're just playing with Ukraine. He's just getting into that area and that's it. He could have decimated Ukraine by this point. A long time ago, decimated Ukraine. But he hasn't done so, has he? That tells me one thing. That he's not hell-bent on conquest. Despite, once again, what the corporate press will tell you. That, oh, he's going to roll into Poland, y'all. Oh, he's going to go into NATO countries. That's an outright lie. It's been 3 years. How come... If so, if you really think that, corporate press and Joe Biden and Democrats and all these people who continually say, oh, he's going to invade NATO countries, 3 years? Right? Like, really? You're not questioning Russia's ability to even do that? If they can't take over Ukraine? If they can't successfully invade and take over Ukraine, do you really think they're going to be able to do that to a NATO country? Who is armed to the teeth, by the way. Like, come on. Reconcile that logic there for me. Something. Because, like, down in the comments, seriously, because I would really love to know how you're going to reconcile that. How, if he can't even invade successfully and take over Ukraine, how the hell do you expect him to do that to a NATO country? Yeah. Ain't got an answer for that, do you? Gabbard's past comments supportive of Russia, as well as secret meetings with Syria's president, a close ally of Russia, and Iran, are attracting fresh scrutiny from Democrats and national security analysts who fear that as Trump's director of national intelligence, she could give Russia a major win, undercut Ukraine, weaken U.S. national security, and endanger intelligence ties with allies. That sounds like a delusional dream nightmare. That's like a paranoid schizophrenic. Like a wet dream for a paranoid schizophrenic, in other words. That's what that sounds like to me. Just absurd. Gabbard, like Gates, they haven't even mentioned Gates in this thing. What do you mean, like Gates? That must be a quote from somebody. Let's keep going. I'm sorry, y'all. Gabbard, like Gates, is like a hand grenade ready to explode, former Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton said, speaking of Matt Gaetz, the former Florida congressman who is Trump's pick for attorney general. Republicans who throw themselves on those grenades for Donald Trump are risking their own personal reputations and places in history. And this, let's take a bunch of stock in what John Bolton says. The guy who would, if had the ability, would start wars with every single country in the freaking world. Gabbard says American assistance for Ukraine jeopardizes global security by antagonizing Russia. It does. As a matter of fact, we just went over that in my last video. She has criticized Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky as corrupt and has expressed sympathy for Russia's position given Ukraine's desire to join NATO, the Western military alliance. Why do we want Ukraine in NATO? I don't get that one at all. This war and suffering could have easily been avoided if Biden admin NATO had simply acknowledged Russia's legitimate security concerns, she posted on Twitter at the start of Russia's invasion in 2022. She's totally right about that. I think we could have avoided war. Right? But no, don't let the corporate press and the Democrats fool you into that one, y'all. They'll say, oh, you're a Putin propagandist. Notice what they do when they run out of facts, when they run out of logic to argue. And there goes the name calling. That's their playbook. That's what they always do. That's why the last month of Kamala Harris's campaign for the presidential election was Trump's an evil dictator, he's worse than Hitler. Knowing that that's not true. Democrats say Gabbard's comments signify a pro-Russian bent that poses a problem for U.S. national security if she is confirmed by the Senate. Do you really want her to have all of the secrets of the United States and our defense intelligence agencies when she has so clearly been in Putin's pocket? Senator Elizabeth Warren said on MSNBC. That's just has to be a hard no. Yeah, we covered that, as a matter of fact. I showed the clip of that. I'm not going to play it here because, yeah. because we're going too long already. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence was created after the September 11, 2001 attacks to coordinate the nation's intelligence agencies and act as the president's main intelligence advisor. Gabbard and the Trump transition team did not respond to questions seeking comment. She has in the past defended her actions and said her military service. She has served in the Army National Guard for more than 2 decades and deployed to Iraq and Kuwait, and has made her skeptical about military interventions. Gabbard also has defended Trump's relationship with autocrats such as Putin, saying it shows Trump has the courage to meet with adversaries, dictators, allies, and partners alike in the pursuit of peace, seeing war as a last resort. Yes, but don't let the corporate press tell that story, because they'll say, oh, well, he's sucking up to Putin because he goes over there for peace talks? Really? Oh, he praises dictators because he crosses the demilitarized zone into North Korea without a security detail in a massive show of strength. Yeah. Oh, he's sucking up to dictators, huh? You know what? If it'll prevent war, sure, whatever. Go ahead and say that. Gabbard's own meetings with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad in 2017 Assad, I said al-Assad, for some reason, angered many of her then fellow Democrats. They said her visit helped legitimize a leader accused of war crimes who has served as a proxy and host for Russia and Iran in the Middle East. How do we know what she went over there for? We don't. Assad welcomed Russia's military into Syria in 2015 to crush a popular uprising against him. Russian forces and Iran-allied militias have remained using Syria as a base for attacks on American troops and their allies. What does Tulsi Gabbard have to do with any of this? Because she went to Syria for some reason? Like, connect these two, please. The U.S. has severed diplomatic relations with Syria and placed Assad under heavy sanctions over the brutality with which Russian warplanes, and Iranian allied forces crushed the uprising, leading to 500,000 deaths. Yes. And why was the United States involved in Syria? Once again, just curious there. Like, why do we always get involved in these foreign wars, these proxy wars? I just don't understand it. Like, we can, project peace. We can project strength and create peace all in the same sentence. We don't have to actually put boots on the ground or drones in the sky to do so. I just don't get it, y'all, but I've went kind of long on this one. Been trying to keep my videos shorter, but I had to get that rant out, y'all. That just all this warmongering and this name calling garbage. Like, give me some good arguments here, and maybe I'll consider your position. Maybe I'll consider why Tulsi Gabbard is dangerous. Like, give me something besides she has genuine concerns that a lot of Americans feel as well. Like, those are serious concerns. Every situation has two sides. And then you have the truth somewhere in the middle. So if you're constantly listening to places like CNN, MSNBC, and all these people, when they're just like, evil Putin over here invaded illegally, and we're the good people. Yeah, let's keep on sending money and weapons over there. No, there's two sides to both stories. I'm sorry. We're not totally absolved from any negativity out of this situation, if you know what I mean. Yeah, we have responsibilities with NATO encroachment, as a matter of fact. That is a genuine concern. If Russia doesn't want us on our borders, why are we expanding, even though we told them we were not going to do so? That's where I'm at, right? If we would have never made that promise, then I might not be sitting here making this very video. But we made that promise. And we should keep our promises. It's bad politics, if you ask me. Bad politics. And is a good reason to question our government, to voice some concerns I have no ties to Russia, have no sympathy for Russia whatsoever. I have no sympathy. As a matter of fact, I laughed when I saw Ukraine invaded Russia. Like, come on, it's stupid, but it's funny. It's poetic justice, if you will. They deserve to be invaded because they invaded Ukraine. But do I think it's going to bring an end to the conflict? No. It's going to only cause more casualties. So it's a net negative, in my opinion. It's not good. That whole situation is not good. And it could have been stopped. And we were the ones that was like, oh, we're going to fight to the bloody end. That's absurd, y'all. Absurd. But, like I said, that's all I got for this one. Y'all don't forget to smash that like button for me if you don't mind. I sure would appreciate it. And if you're new around here, subscribe. Share this video with anybody and everybody. I cover news constantly. But y'all know that. Y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching. And y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.